Being a believer in the IDF, it's challenging because you are far from home. Me as you can say a believer that grew up in a believing family. So the military is like taking you to other place that your surrounding is not a believer surrounding, and you don't see the church every weekend, and it's different times. It's like you're on your own.
So I was drafted to surveillance, and they placed me on the Gaza border. And what that means basically is that you're home twice a month, and you have long shifts, and you're pretty tired, and you don't have a regular schedule. So for me, once I got to my placement, basically any schedule, any order was kind of thrown out the window, and I was tired a lot, and I didn't have anything stable.
Being a believer in an environment that's not it does not consist of believers. Mostly it's either non-believers or religious Jewish people. So the people themselves then gave me a hard time about my beliefs. But I think that's really mostly because I didn't express it enough in the army.
I think before I got in the military, I heard a lot of stories about people who went through it and said it was such a desert for me. And when I got in, I said I don't want it to be a desert for me. So I really tried to stay in touch with believer friends and going to conferences and just help wherever I can. Programs, camps during the summer, all over the year actually. Just keeping myself in the loop. So I know I'll stay in the right track, even though I had some really hard times, very mostly mental, not physical, mental, really hard mental times.
I finished my service a week before I came here, so I'm the freshest out of all of us, and I can remember it, I think, the best. For me personally though, it was really, really hard. It was very, very hard because I didn't have a strong base of faith during my military service. So I constantly, the whole 3 years, just fought with myself about why are things happening to me, and why is it so hard for me? Why am I having so much trouble and difficulties, and all the believers around me are getting jobs that they want and are just happy and smiling all the time. So as a believer in general, you're the minority. You're like the minority, because it's mostly the non-believers, the atheists, and the Jews, the believer Jews, all sorts of them, and they have a common enemy now that they can agree on that he's wrong, and that's us, the Christians, the Messianic Jews.
I served in a combat unit, so it means to other people also that you're gonna stay with the fellas from the army. You're gonna stick with them for a long time, maybe 4 years, and it's challenging, to stick with non-believer people that talk about other stuff, like the non-believer conversations, about the world. That it's not always, let's say, that beneficial to talk about this stuff.
So another challenge I faced is being surrounded by lots of strict rules that only about half of them made sense, and so there's always this temptation of maybe not following that instruction or breaking that rule, or like and what comes along is usually, you know, if I can ignore that rule, then maybe this is not so important too. And slowly breaking rules goes to other places in life, including my belief. There's always this temptation of doing even other things, and some people do drugs like smoking in the army, so there was that temptation too, which I fell into. That's another challenge, and this causes the believer, this caused me to feel like I'm drifting away from God and from the congregation, from the family of believers that surrounds me, to the point where sometimes I would come to my congregation, to Beit Eliyahu, and there was this small feeling like I might not belong there. I think that's the biggest of them, this feeling of condemnation, of, you know, like if you do this, then why would you even go to congregation, and like how could you ever be a witness to other people if you're like this? And this is the biggest challenge I faced.
So normally what people will do and what I did, you finished army, 2 days later I was out of the country, traveling for about a month and a half, and that's what most Israeli young people will do. They just feel like they want to go see the world. They've had enough of Israel for a little while. They need to kind of get some perspective on stuff, and most people will go to the Far East or to South America to kind of find themselves or whatever. And it was something that I wanted to do too, but for me, I would like it to have more meaning. And obviously I love to travel because it's seeing the world, but if you can do that and gain something spiritual out of it for your spiritual life, that's a huge bonus.
Well, I think after you've been to the military for 2 or 3 years, depends, you just kind of want to stop thinking, you know, just like I don't want to have any responsibility. I just want to kind of just like chill, as most people will take it like a long-term kind of chill, like even 6 months, 1 year, even more. But yeah, you just like want to stop thinking for a while, just let everybody else do the hard lifting. So yeah, going out of the country is also like, you miss the friends, you miss the family, but it's like you just like get some alone time, and I think it's really important. For me, it was really important to do something like this.
Jeff, you talked about how you came to Israel and saw all these Israelis getting out of faith, just stopping to believe, and you were so sad, and I can really relate to that, because I also have friends who left faith, and waiting for them to come back because I care for them, and I know they struggle, knowing that they believe but not going with how the believer wants to live and strives to live. So I heard about the program, and you talked about how it's a building up, like a reigniting the flame type of program, and I was like, wow, he's talking to me. This is me. And I have to go there.
I realized that like a week ago, 2 weeks ago even, that I was surrounding most of my time, like almost 100% of my time, I was with non-believer people, and now I am surrounded 24/7 for 6 weeks with believer people that we are talking about, about spiritual stuff. We learn, we grow, and it's good.
Tikvah for me has been a place, a safe place for me to meet fellow believers, to spend time with mature believers and getting to know their stories, seeing England and spending some time outside and outdoors, and going back to the foundations of my faith and strengthening the core beliefs that I have.
I'll say accurately as I can that I don't want to exaggerate, but the time here might have been life-changing for me, because I mean it is something that changes a person's life when he realizes that he wants to fulfill the purpose that God has for him.
Just coming here and show and just see actually all the people I've met here, like every congregation we met, and you guys, the family, your family, it's just like it's been a real blessing to me to see everybody and all the love that the people gave me, and they didn't even really knew me. Just been really amazing to me, just like helped me get out of this, and now I'm very optimistic about what I'm gonna do next, and it's just wonderful.
This is a program like none others. It's out of country. It takes you out of your normal life to rebuild you. Yeah, the conditions are great, like way better than I thought. The people are amazing. The testimonies are great. The food is spectacular. Yeah, I would recommend it to anyone who's about to finish, who just finished. I've been there. I've been at the past 3 years in the army. I struggled like all of you, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. But I can say that this is the thing I was looking for. And I did not know that until I came here.